everybody, welcome back to DemoPod, the Demolition Podcast. It's been a while. I'm your host, Ryan Marr, and we are, of course, joined, as always, by the stars of the show, Demolition X, Mr. Bill Eadie, Demolition Smash, Mr. Barry Darsow. And guys, it's been quite a while since we've gotten together, and we'll get into all of that in just a little bit. But before we do, I just got to ask, how you guys doing?
Doing well. Good to see you, my friend.
Great to see you.
Yep, doing incredible. What is this now, 12 that we're doing?
Yeah, I believe. Oh, yeah, I guess it is.
12 podcasts. Holy cow. Good job, Ryan.
Yeah, oh, well, great job to you guys as well. And I just wanted to address a couple of things because I did feel a little bad when I would get the YouTube notifications with people commenting and asking for more episodes. It's very flattering to know that people are enjoying what we're doing. But this is a learning process for all of us involved. And aside from that, too, there's just business stuff that happens. I was involved in a serious car accident. I'm okay. Just going through the recovery process. So that was on the personal end. On the business end, we encountered some issues with YouTube, and we're learning this process as we go. We were told that we are not allowed to use the Demolition theme song, which explain that one to me. You guys are Demolition. It's your show. But I think we got that rectified. And if that pops up again, we're at a point where we're just going to say, screw it, let's go generic. But we had that pop up. And then, one of the members of Demolition decided to go off and become a best-selling author. So how about that?
No, what happened there?
Yeah. I mean, so Sickles, Studs, and Stolen Cars. Barry, congratulations, man. It's been a whirlwind. I'm seeing you pop up everywhere.
Yeah, I've done quite a few podcasts, and it's hard because I started telling everybody I need to do them about 7 a.m, not 7 p.m. And everybody says, well, I'm not even up yet. Well, I'm up at 4 a.m. So most of the podcasts I've been doing over in England, so it's a whole different time change.
Yeah.
But I've really enjoyed talking to all the people and the fans and everybody. It's been great.
People always compliment the both of you when they talk to me. And I'm not even just talking about the YouTube comments. I'm talking about people in my personal life, colleagues, other comedians. They always talk about how likable you guys are and how nothing seems to bother either one of you, how easygoing you are. And I think when I really saw that was when I watched you with Conrad Thompson on the 83 Weeks Eric Bischoff podcast. And you guys talked about the whole WCW uncensored debacle, the King of the Road match. And we're going to be talking about that in a future episode. But seeing you sit with Eric Bischoff and have that conversation, I was like, wow, this is really cool stuff. So, I mean, are there been any other podcasts that you went on that, where you really got to talk to guys from back then and it had the same kind of meaning for you?
Well, yeah. There's been a lot of podcasts, but, like the one with Eric, Eric and I have been friends for a long time. And like even on his podcast, I said, I can't believe you fired me, but, Bill knows we've been fired how many times from different, places, and you can't take it personally. It's business. And he just happened to have to listen to the CNN Tower people, and he had no choice but to fire me. But I mean, it was pretty upsetting because I love that gimmick, and I thought it could have went a long ways. And I think Eric was even a little bit, surprised about having to fire us too.
Yeah. Well, he had discussed that in the podcast. And I think if I'm remembering correctly, he even said, like, once this blows over, I'm going to get you back. And he kept his word with that. So that's great stuff. But just to give an update to the listeners, this is not the first time I have seen Barry and Bill since our last episode recording. I was actually 2 weeks ago from when we were recording this episode. Today is February 19th. So just about 2 weeks ago, I got to go to the 80's Wrestling Con up at the Parsippany PAL in Parsippany, New Jersey, or as the Mountie Jacques Rougeau would call it, Parsippany. So we got to go up there. And guys, first of all, aside from the fact that it was great to see you for the first time in a while, in person especially, I didn't really get to hang with you guys too much because the line that you guys had from the moment those doors opened in sub-zero temperatures, snow and ice, until those doors closed, I found it almost overwhelming. I mean, you guys were going nonstop.
Well, it was nice. It was a great event, and we were so happy that Tommy Fierro, who's a great friend of ours, put it on, asked us to come, and like you said, the fans were fantastic. The crowds were for everybody. I mean, they were very cordial and friendly and kind. We enjoyed it.
Yeah, and it was nonstop signing for the whole time we were there. We're so grateful to the fans, and we did get to hear a lot of stories that they told us that they reminded us of things that we've done. But it was great seeing you and Dan out there and filming a few of the guys, the Powers of Pain and Ted DiBiase and a few other guys. So it was a fun trip.
What about the gentleman who was dressed? And I don't know if he actually wound up winning the cosplay contest, but we'll have Dan throw the picture up. The guy that was dressed like Mr. Fuji.
Oh man,
That was spot on. And I just thought that was the coolest thing to see him, stand behind you guys and kind of recreate. Well, it wasn't one classic pose. I mean, there were so many promo photos over the years of you at Fuji, but that kind of floored me. That had to be special for you guys.
when we posted that on our Instagram page, and it got lots of positive reaction, and it was how could you not enjoy that picture? It brought back a lot of good memories for us.
Yeah, I mean, you know what else is really cool for me? And again, coming up in the business the way that I did, ring announcing, managing all those years ago, and I keep feeling like I get sucked back in. What I'm really enjoying to see right now at these conventions is not just you guys getting to do your signings and reminisce, but like now a lot of these vendors that have incredible merchandise, they were diehard fans themselves.
Right.
And the one guy that comes to mind the most is Hal Haney, who I finally got to meet in person, which was great because when I was doing those virtual signings through the pandemic with Tommy Fierro, Hal Haney had so many amazing creations. He's such a talented artist. He has a comic book about you guys. He does all these different renderings, and he's going to be doing a lot more with you guys in the future. Can you tell me how you got to know Hal Haney?
Well, we were approached. I don't remember if it was a couple years ago now by a promoter in British Columbia, and we were going to do a podcast virtual. That was during the COVID era, and we did it with Bret Hart, right, Barry?
Yep, yep, with Brett. Yep.
We did with Bret Hart and the two of us, and he had the idea that he needed some artwork to offer the fans, and it was limited number signed and numbered by Brett and the two of us. And through that, I saw how fantastic his artwork was. I looked him up, and then I finally contacted him myself. And then we saw him in a couple events after that, and we became very good friends of both of ours.
That's awesome. That is
Yeah,
awesome.
And what a talented guy he is. That the picture he did with us, it was Axe and Smash against Jim the Anvil Neidhart and Bret Hart. It was one of our matches, and Hal did just an incredible job. And they were sold out before the show. And
yeah.
Bret Hart set that whole thing up and included us in there, and that just kind of shows what Bret's like too. He's just a good guy.
I
Yeah,
think they had I think they had 150 signed and numbered,
Yeah.
and then Hal came out with our 35th anniversary together with another poster, limited edition. And just to throw a little future in here, he's coming out with some new artwork for us, and we're excited about that.
and I think we touch on that a little bit. Dan, if you want to roll the footage, because I actually got to speak with Hal, and it was cool for me too, because like I said, I'm a fan of his work. I got to see so much of it while doing those virtual signings, and I follow him on Instagram as well at Hal Haney Art. And he is just a super talented guy and a really nice guy. And I think that's going to come across in this video clip we have here.
And here's what's funny: when we saw him in Charlotte at the show that was there, and he was dressed
Gathering.
up like Big Boss Man, and he had Big Boss Man's wife there, and they came up to me, and I would look, I went, "Is that the Big Boss Man?" And then, I mean, it just what a super guy Al is.
Yeah, there's definitely a resemblance. And I believe we're going to roll that video clip right now of me talking to Hal Haney at 80's Wrestling Con. Ryan Moore here at 80's Wrestling Con. We are having a great day, and this gentleman to my right, no, he's not going to get me out of a parking ticket later, but he did do great.
You asked me nice, Mike.
He did great in the 80's Wrestling Con cosplay. But aside from cosplay, what I know this guy for is his incredible artwork, Mr. Hal Haney. Big fan of Demolition. Demolition, big fans of him. Can you tell us a little bit about how you became acquainted with Axe and Smash?
Yeah, actually, I did a piece for a signing, like a virtual signing that during the pandemic, where it was Axe and Smash and Bret Hart. And Bret Hart's guy got a hold of me and had me do like a comic that was like them doing the Hart Foundation doing the heart attack on Barry.
Okay.
So they did that signing, and then they ended up at a signing for High Spots, signing a split face thing that I'd done for them, and then they finally got a hold of me, and we've been buds ever since.
Yeah, I mean, they speak very highly of you. You do some incredible work, and I've seen a lot of your work over the years because I was hosting those virtual signings during the pandemic, and it's really blown up. I mean, your Instagram, incredible. There's people from all over the world ordering these prints.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a lot of luck and a lot of work.
And a lot of talent, too. So thank you so much, Hal. Don't forget, DemoPod on YouTube. Well, there you go.
Fantastic.
Hey, good interview, Ryan. Good interview with him.
Well, you know what? I made a cardinal mistake tonight. I'm wearing the same jacket that I wore to with my Remember Moxon hoodie in memory of James Vanderbeek. So I totally forgot that I had the leather jacket on in that video. But what a nice guy, and what a great setup he had there. And
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I mean, just so cool. And I laughed because it was funny. I haven't seen that clip since we recorded it. And as Barry was telling about the Big Boss Man story, and I go, I think he was dressed as Boss Man at this thing too. I think that's what he had going on. And he had a fun interaction with the Mountie as well, which was pretty cool. But one of the things that I enjoyed the most about being there next to the Powers of Pain, and Dan can throw up a still shot. They're going to be coming on this podcast, but I had a good laugh because I had met them during the virtual signing. And when I asked them if they would cut like a little promo for DemoPod, Warlord's like, yeah, but Barb will be in it, but he probably won't talk. And I said, well, that's fine as long as you guys are in it. But I just put myself in the shoes of the fans that walked in to that convention, and they're turning a corner, and then there you guys are, the Powers of Pain and Demolition. For many, that's the tag team feud of the 80s when we talk about the double turn with Fuji and just so much great stuff that went on there. So that had to be wild for a lot of people to see you guys sitting next to each other. But it seems like at a lot of these conventions, you guys are always kind of billed in the same vicinity. Is that not true?
Yeah, it's become very popular, and a lot of the times the vendors, if we're not working for the same vendor, a lot of the times the vendors get together because a lot of the fans want the combination picture, and being close together like that is a lot easier for, maneuvering.
And we've only had probably 3 towns or something where we're right next to each other where we've taken pictures of all of us. So it's a pretty rare picture. But yeah, you start getting lines of people for those pictures, and it's a lot of fun with those guys.
And Barry, I have no problem telling you, I have been scouring the internet looking for visual photographic evidence of you guys having to sit next to them at the Hall of Fame last year where you were being picked off your chair. But fortunately for you, I don't think any of that footage exists or any photographs of that exist. That's one of my favorite stories.
I think I have a couple of selfies of all 4 of us where we're sitting on top of each other,
Send them to Dan.
Thank goodness Warlord left. He walked down to the end of the hour. We wouldn't have had any space.
But you couldn't ask for 2 nicer guys than those 2 guys. Oh, my goodness.
We also spoke a little bit with the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. We're going to be airing all of these interview clips on the YouTube channel. So if you're watching us on YouTube right now, some of you are listening to us on Spotify, and that's okay too. Go over and subscribe to the Demolition Podcast YouTube channel so you can see all of this stuff at DemoPod that's going to be coming out. I love talking to Ted DiBiase because, and again, another guy that I've gotten to work with over the years on different stuff, but he's very passionate about his podcast, and the host, Marcus D'Angelo, who's an independent professional wrestler, and you guys actually appeared, I believe, on that show as well. So we're going to be having a lot more guests come on and be doing things a little bit differently, but still the same. We're going to be talking about some current wrestling stuff that's going on, as well as the appearances, because that's really what it's all about. And because that event was so successful, you're going to be back on May 16th at the Parsippany PAL for 80's Wrestling Con. And I'm really excited for that. I already made sure I marked off the entire weekend. We can go to dinner the night before, we can hang out, because this was kind of chaotic for all of us involved for this convention. I mean, the weather was absolutely horrific. I know, Barry, you were in Florida just prior. So, I mean, you were dealing with a little bit of cold out there as well, I think, right?
Yeah, but, the worst part of that whole thing coming home was, Bill had an earlier flight. So I went to the airport with Bill. I didn't get out of there till midnight. My flight was delayed 4 hours, different times. And then the pilot finally got another plane that came in. We go to that plane and had a flat tire. And then it took an hour to get fueled up. And then, it just went on and on. So I got to Tampa at 4:00 in the morning instead of there at 11,
Yeah. Mine was delayed too, but, there's not much you can do with the weather in situations like that. I was more concerned about having the ability to make it to the event, because we wanted to be at the event.
Yeah.
Once it was done, we know we're going home. We just don't know what time.
Yeah, but you can do that, like you just said. You hit the nail on the head. The concern is getting to the event. Once the event happens, whatever happens, happens. But when you guys were on the road 300 days a year, you didn't get that luxury, because it was just constantly going and constantly grinding. Are there any situations that come to mind, not even necessarily with air travel, because air travel has changed so drastically from that point to now as far as what you have to do and the whole process? What happens in some of these situations where there's a major flight delay due to snow or ice or anything of those nature? I would imagine then everybody would make a mad dash to go get a rental car and try to figure it out. I mean, you're probably having to always think on the fly in those situations when on the road, no?
Well, it depends on the distance, of course. If it's drivable for us would be like 10 hours, right, Barry?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's not drivable for everybody. But if you've got to make the event, you've got to make the event. The people have already bought the tickets and they're waiting for you to be there. But, realistically, as you mentioned, that it didn't seem that there was that many headaches years ago. I don't know if it was because maybe there weren't that many people flying. Now every flight's packed. The weather's delays and the delays at the airports, they seem to be more prevalent. I don't know.
Hey, Bill, I got a great story, Ryan. There was a show that we had in Lake Tahoe.
Okay.
So the whole crew flies into Lake Tahoe. It's beautiful out there, but the snow starts coming down. We get there, we find out the ring truck's not going to show up. So the show has to go on. So, we probably got there about 2:00 in the afternoon. By the time it was 5:00, we already had a foot more of snow on the ground. You couldn't do anything. They ended up putting chairs together in the building and put ropes on the top of the chairs. And we had the
wrestling mat.
Yeah, we wrestled in that. But the funniest thing was, Black Bart, he never was in snow before or anything. It was the first time he was really in snow. So we told him, we said, because everything closed down. I mean, it was incredible. But Bart had to get his beer. He always had that case of beer he had to get, and he had to wear that cowboy hat. So he says, I'm going to go out to the store and get a case of beer. And we were kind of laughing at him. And I told him when he was on the way out, I said, so now what we got to do when the power goes out, it usually goes out, we got to get wood to put in the bathtub, and we got to light that fire in the bathtub to heat up the place. Otherwise, we're going to freeze to death. And Bart was looking at us like he really thought we were serious. But he goes down and get the beer, and when he came back, he had about a foot of snow on the top of his cowboy hat. It was fire neck. But so we had the matches. we had the beer in the room, did everything. We lived it up, and we ended up getting out about 2 or 3 days later. But I mean, you had to take advantage of a day off,
Yeah, that's right. That was one of the few days off we had.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I would just love to know. I mean, how many fans actually wound up showing up to the event that night? Do you remember? I mean, I would imagine it wasn't a full house. A lot of people probably just said, "I can't get out," right?
No, but there was a good bit of people. It was
Yeah.
it was like in an auditorium, so everything was on one level. There was probably 6, 7, 800 people, I suppose, there, huh, Bill?
Yeah, I would think so. And then the other thing that Bart had to have, in addition to his beer, he had to have his tobacco, his
Yes,
chewing
chewing
tobacco.
tobacco. He always had to chew it, and
So he had to
God,
make another trip out to get more chewing tobacco.
yeah.
He'd go through 3 or 4 cans a day.
Oh
He
man.
he was just a wreck. Oh,
That's great. But I have to know. We have to go back though because I'm still trying to mentally visualize this setup here with the chairs and the ropes on top. What were you guys bumping on? Did they just have like the basic ringside mats laid out? Like what? There was no canvas. There was no ring.
I think they had a high school or a collegiate uh, wrestling ring.
Yeah,
amateur wrestling match. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
that's not fun to bump on either. Jeez.
Oh no,
I
no.
don't think we did all. I don't think there was many bumps, to be
But
honest
the
with you.
show must go on. That's how it was.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not nearly as cool as any of the traveling stories that I've had. I mean, even if I'm
And
sorry.
here's another thing, Ryan. We're the type of guys. We're so benevolent. We'd rather give than receive, so we'd give all the other bumps to the guys.
Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. And so, yeah, and I mean, I just remember being in positions over the years where, I mean, and at my all-time busiest year, I consider the road any gig that's more than 4 hours from my house. I'll say being on the road. Am I staying in a hotel or not? But I remember there was a time where I had an audition in the city for an acting role, and then that night I had to perform in Scranton, Pennsylvania at a comedy club. And thank God the comedian I was working with at the comedy club that night was a guy by the name of Joey Cola. He's a brilliant comic, 40 years experience. He's currently the audience warm-up comic for the Drew Barrymore show. But I remember calling him because I had a Ford Mustang and I'm in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and you're driving on those mountains in Route 80. And I was like, I'm going to be late. And he's like, don't worry about it. He's like, I'll have the host go longer, then I'll go up, do a few minutes, bring you up. So I would imagine there's a lot of situations like that too, right? Where if you're going to be late to a show because of weather or whatever, you got to call the booking agent, you call somebody, they might have to shuffle the card around. I would think that probably happens more often than actually missing an entire show.
Well, here's a funny story. When you're late, and Barry can attest to this too, when you're late, you might as well be
Really?
considerably late. Because if you're like 5 minutes late, they get all over you. Why didn't you leave on time? Holy mackerel, we're going to fine you for this. But if you're like an hour late and you let them know you're coming, but you're going to be about an hour late, they're so happy to see you when you get there that they forget about all the other stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Can't be later than late. I mean, fortunately for you guys as the tag team champions for a good majority of your run, I would imagine you were on later in the card anyway, but probably not always. I'm always still fascinated. We're going to have to do an episode where we just break down the different house shows and whatnot, because, you look at some of these cards and it'll be like opening match, this week. And then a few weeks later, the guys are like right underneath Hogan. You guys can break that down better than anybody. But so basically the weather outside the Parsippany PAL 2 weeks ago was nothing.
Oh my.
Nothing for you guys though to have to deal with.
It was chilly though. It was chilly.
Yeah, here's another one. We landed in Newark and we had to go to Long Island.
Okay.
And we had interviews. We had to be there like at 1:00 in the afternoon. So we flew in. We got in about 9:00 in the morning. We get the rental car and it started pouring rain. And it rained so hard, the traffic was dead stop. So from 9:00 in the morning, we almost missed the show.
Oh.
Remember that, Bill? It was so bad.
Yeah.
We got there just in time. We were dressing in the car, putting our paint on and all that stuff. Just get to there. So we missed all of our interviews, everything. Got there just in time for the matches. Boom, boom. Went back to Newark. Oh, it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of you have been to either of you have been to Long Island in the last couple of years. That Belt Parkway has been under construction, I think, since the Nixon administration.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't understand what's going on. There was 4 comedy clubs that I used to do regularly on Long Island. When I finally got worked up to becoming a headliner, they would give me a hotel room. But when you were the host or the middle act, you didn't get one. And so you'd have to do a Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night. So I was driving down and back and forth from the Jersey Shore. You would need 3 days to recover because you didn't know if the ride was going to take you an hour and a half or 5 hours. I will never understand. Anywhere in the country, I've never seen traffic more unpredictable than Long Island. Anywhere.
Well, the last time we landed in LaGuardia, Bill, just a few months ago, I think the same guy with that slow sign when you leave the airport, I think it's that same guy that was there 40 years ago. He's a little heavier, a little older with the mustache, but that construction has been there for 40 years. They haven't done anything different.
It's a union.
Yeah, I recognize him. He said like this when I went by.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's union. But no, that it's wild to get to catch up with you guys at these conventions. And Bill, I believe it was you who said that you guys just really enjoy it, and you get to catch up with people that you haven't seen, brothers of the road. You get to meet new fans. And look, I've been around professional wrestling long enough, been around comedy long enough. There's people that say, yeah, we do it for the fans or whatever. But these guys that we're looking at right now, they really do it for the fans. I mean, the conversations that they're having with everybody, the pictures, really going above and beyond. And like you said earlier, Barry, earlier in the episode when we first started recording, like a lot of these fans do remind you of stuff that you probably have forgotten about or just haven't thought about in years. And I know you always appreciate that when they can come up and bring something up to you and you go, oh yeah, that we did do that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And what was great too was Tommy Fierro. He was inducted in the Hall of Fame there.
Yeah.
That was a huge surprise to him.
Yeah, the international. It was it the International Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame? I don't want to get it incorrect. I do know it was out of Albany, I believe.
Yes.
I follow them on Facebook, and he actually was presented a certificate for hosting more wrestling conventions than anybody else ever. And now that I think about it, that makes sense because even way prior to me meeting Tommy, in the late 90s, when I was just getting my start doing the ring crew for Dennis Corluzzo and all those guys, Tommy was kind of like considered the boy wonder because I'm 42. I think Tommy's roughly around my age. He might have a few years on me, but he was running wrestling conventions in an era where I think the casual fan didn't even know what a convention was, right?
Right.
Right.
I was on his first one.
Wow.
I was on his first one years ago. And every one of them is always first class production.
Yep.
He's an upright, standing family man.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just so happy with the turnout. So, and we're looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, that's going to be May 16th at the Parsippany PAL, 80'swrestlingcon.com to get those tickets. But that brings me to the next point that I wanted to address or ask about, if you will. We've already done episodes about how much the business has changed. And let's face it, I mean, it's constantly evolving, especially now at the pace of everything going on with Netflix and social media and streaming. It's constantly adapting. But about the conventions specifically and about the autograph signings, back when kayfabe existed, and I'm not talking about just before WWE Unreal on Netflix. I'm talking about the days of the territories. I'm talking about the golden era of WWE. When kayfabe was still very much a thing, was there a certain protocol for these signings? Were fans maybe a little more leery about approaching you guys if you were the heels on TV? How did it work back in the day when you had to go to an auto dealership for an autograph signing or, you know, a big toy store? I'm sure it's changed a lot since nowadays.
Well, back in the day, only the good guys, only the baby faces were invited to go to conventions or signings.
Okay.
If you were a bad guy or a heel, you weren't permitted to do that, right, Barry?
Yeah, exactly. In fact, the first time I ever saw, autographs and everything out in the open was when I worked for Bill Watts. You get paid $75 a night for a match or 50, you're starving to death. And then all of a sudden you see the Rock and Roll Express go out there. They're the baby faces and, you just beat the crap out of them and then they beat you. they got lines of pictures being sold, and it was just like, now why do they get to sell the pictures and the heels don't? But it's just how it was. You're the bad guy, and you didn't go around the fans. And yeah, that was the first time I ever saw that. And good for those guys. They made a ton of money.
And when I was in Mid Atlantic as a Mass Superstar, the only guy that was allowed to sell any merchandise, the only guy, was Wahoo McDaniel, and that was his deal when he came in. So, and that changed after a period of time. But
yeah,
I think now the promoters have smartened up and the vendors have smartened up, and they've lost. They never can recoup that money that they had lost. But now they say, hey, why not sell items, merchandise?
yeah. I don't know.
I think Vince was one of the guys that initiated that. He saw
Yeah.
the value of
it. And I don't know when the first convention really was, but I think, Bill, you and I did our first one together up in Canada. I think we were in Windsor, Canada, and that was probably 20 years ago or so, wasn't it?
It's
I bet
more than a few, yeah.
Yeah. Well, isn't that terrible when you go, oh, yeah, I bet it was 20 years ago. Holy cow, that's we're not that old, are we?
Well, whether it was 20 years ago or 30 years ago, I'm sure Ricky Morton still had the same energy level that he had 2 weeks ago.
He's incredible.
He is incredible. I actually had the privilege of getting to manage a tag team against the Rock and Roll Express. I want to say around 2001 or 2002. And I mean, Ricky Morton is the same guy. And I don't think there's going to be any time soon where he hangs it up, because he was there bright and center, front and center, I should say. I was interviewing the Warlords of Pain, and he's like, what's going on over here? And I was like, oh, well, we're talking about Demolition. And he's like, Axe and Smash. He's like, well, then you're going to come over here. And I didn't even have to. That's going to be a great video when we post it up. I didn't even have to really say much. I just let Ricky Morton take it away. And it's so funny because Robert Gibson's standing next to me, just kind of like nodding, and like, I'm like, oh, Robert knows he's the quiet guy of the group. But that was so much fun to catch up with them. And like I said, the history that you especially, Barry, have with those guys from way back in the Crockett days, it's wild to catch up. What do you think when you see him out there still doing things at such a high level?
It's unbelievable. And when him and his son have matches, they're incredible. His kid's incredible. And I'm so happy for Robert. He was limping around for so many years, he couldn't hardly walk. He's got 2 new hips, and he's running around like a young kid again too. But 2 incredible workers, fun to work with.
I had a chance to spend some time with him at the airport when we were delayed and stuff, and going over old stories and things like that. And I was really impressed with his son, with Ricky's son. He's a very polite young man. He's got a good future, and I wish them both the best.
Yeah, I just hope he gets. Yeah, I hope he gets a big break.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in this day and age too, it's so tough because there's so much incredible young up and coming talent. And in future episodes, we're going to be talking about some of the prospects that are coming out. And again, it's like anything else. There's really no rhyme or reason to it, right? Like I'm looking at right now, Javon Evans, who's on the main roster of Monday Night Raw. He's 21 years old. So you would say to yourself, like, oh wow, like that would be the prime age you would think someone would be in NXT coming up. But now there's just really no rhyme or reason. You get that call, you get that shot, then there you go. You're propelled to the next level. But I would love to see Kerry Morton get a break too. He deserves it. He's been grinding hard, and I mean, he's got a great teacher, right? Great example.
Oh yeah,
great footsteps to follow in. But yes, 80's Wrestling Con is returning to the Parsippany PAL on May 16th. And over the next couple of weeks, you're going to start to see some of the great interviews that I was able to conduct while these guys couldn't really get up from the table. Fortunately, I think all the people that we interviewed were able to make their way over to you, or you were able to make your way over to them. But you guys were just going nonstop the entire time from when we started. Do you have anything else coming up before May 16th? That's going to be in New Jersey, the Parsippany PAL. Any traveling coming up? Hopefully this weather is going to start breaking. They're saying more snow here for Jersey on Sunday night. I'm hoping not.
Well, the next event we got up in that area is going to be at the big event.
Okay.
And that's March 20th, I believe
Oh,
it is.
20th or 21st. I
Yeah,
didn't.
20th or
I'll have to
21st.
look at my calendar.
Yeah, and then we're in Columbus, Ohio the next day also.
Yeah.
So
So we do big event, jump on the plane, go to Columbus, Ohio for the next day.
okay.
So-
Well, I'm actually, I believe I'm off that night, so maybe I'll come up the night before then, because I always love getting to hang with you guys and stuff like that. It's a lot of cool things going on. We're working on different things as well. That's going to be a little more hands-on for the podcast. There's going to be some memorabilia giveaways. A lot of cool stuff has been happening. So again, apologize for the delay. I'll take some of the heat for it too. But you know what? I was in a car accident. I didn't go become a best-selling author. You know what I mean? Sometimes a guy has to become a best-selling author, go do podcasts. No, I'm teasing. But Sickles, Studs, and Stolen Cars, it's a great book. I do want to share something that I was able to look up because I wanted to see what people were saying online about the book. And I don't know, Barry. I mean, the reviews that you have been getting for this book have been awesome. And I just love going to Google, for example, which is what I did for this. And the key aspects of the book that Google summarized: career highlights. Darsow recounts his time in Mid-South, Jim Crockett Promotions, and the WWF, including the peak of Demolition and later his time as the Repo Man. Book shares behind the scenes stories, lighthearted moments, locker room camaraderie, and tales of traveling the road. Wrestling philosophy. Darsow offers insights into the grind of the business, dealing with aging in the industry and his reflections on being, as some reviews suggest, an underappreciated worker, which I think I've said from day one. We've talked about some of those matches that you've had where I would see a spot and I'd go, oh my God, that was incredible. And the most important part, and I think the one that you'll probably appreciate the most, authentic tone. And I think that applies to both of you, not just as performers, but as human beings. But for this book review, it says authentic tone. The memoir is noted for being a straightforward, warm, and honest account of his life in the ring, rather than a bitter settling of scores. And I think that's really cool because for the longest time,
I like. I think I got a little tear in my eye the way you're reading that.
Thank
That's
you.
huge, But I am very.
I'll lie and say that I wrote it, but I didn't.
I am really very proud of it. That was the one thing when we started writing it was I didn't want to say bad things about anybody because really I kind of love everybody. I don't have bad things to say. Everybody's got their own little deals they do, and I've had some of the greatest partners in the world. Bill, we were together for so long. He's got his book out too. You got to get his book.
Yes,
and
yes.
the Mass Superstar, and we've talked about doing a demolition book, so we're pretty excited about getting that out. I think that's going to be a fun one.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, just based and I want you to respond to that, Bill, but just based on the Black Bart story that you just came up with, and we were talking about snowstorms and whatever. I mean, just a book about what you guys encountered hanging with those guys on the road. I think that would do very, very well. I really do.
Well, I think it would. And Barry's the one that's going to coordinate it all. So whenever we've been so busy, we've been on the road so much, we really don't have time and justice to do it. But I think the fans would enjoy a demolition book.
Well, yeah, and I've always thought about, Bill, you and I, you go to the gym and you get back to the room and we start talking about what we're going to do that night, depending upon who our partners we're going to wrestle. And we always have a game plan by the time we get to the building. And I think it'd be kind of neat to tell in the book what we do to get a match and get a good match going, and how we really go about that. And I don't know if anybody's ever done that or not, but we got so many of the greatest workers ever that we've talked about that that we could go over things that we've done.
And a lot of the stories that both of us have with our friends, like Andre and people that we were on the road with constantly, behind the scenes, because it's behind the curtains stories. Right. And like Barry said, we're not going to downgrade anybody. It's life's too short. Just enjoy the time that you have, enjoy the memories that we have, and relate to the fans. Because if it wasn't for the fans, truthfully, and you know this, Ryan, if it wasn't for the fans that came to your event, what would you be doing?
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. And
I
you know,
think,
go ahead,
excuse me.
Barry. Go
I think what would be fun too is when you're up at the big event up there, you and Dan,
ahead.
we should interview, just 15-second promos of some of the fans.
I'd love
yeah.
that.
Yeah, wouldn't that be fun? Like have us, we're signing and then talk to a fan when we're signing and just get their take on different things. I think it'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, so we'll put that out there for if you're in the tri-state area for the big event on March 21st. Come on out, get your tickets, come on over to the Demolition booth. You can meet myself along with the guys. I'll be the one probably interviewing you, and you can tell us some of your demolition stories. And also May 16th, we're going to be at the Parsippany PAL. So if you're in New York and New Jersey, check out those events. But I also want to put this out there, and I feel like this is very important. And pardon me, because I meant to do this at the top of the episode when explaining why there's been a little bit of a delay. If you guys are interested in having a live episode of the Demolition podcast or having Demolition at any meet and greets, just be a little more social with us. Get on Instagram, follow at Search and Destroy You, follow at Demolition Pod. And if you have any questions about the podcast or anything about, hey, what's going on, where you been, I'm at Ryan Maher Comedy, Ryan Maher Comedy. So make sure you follow all of those links on Instagram. The most important thing, though, that I'm going to ask you to do, as always, is to like, comment, subscribe, and share these videos on YouTube. The more subscriptions you get, the more we rise up in the rankings. So make sure you do that. There's plenty of different ways that you can keep in contact with us. And also coming soon, the revamped axeandsmash.com, which is going to be all things demolition. There's going to be a direct link to buy merchandise. Some of it's going to be signed. We're going to be doing some signed giveaway stuff over the next couple weeks and months as well. And also it's going to have a full list of everywhere that you guys can go meet Axe and Smash. So there's a lot of cool things happening in 2026 and beyond. I think there's some other stuff happening that we can't really talk about yet, but I think a lot of people will be hearing different things going on and whatever. There's a lot of new action figures being released. There's a lot of new things happening. So that's very exciting stuff, but I'll be quiet about the rest of that. Is there anything else you guys want to say before we wrap this episode up?
No, it's been great seeing you, my friend.
Very good.
And here's a new one that I just got. This is a Latuni.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here's the back. So it's a pretty large one. And they're going to come out with, how big are they going to be, Bill?
I think they're 12 inches.
Yeah,
The giant
that's the next one.
Wow. That one actually looks like it's modeled after the old LJN. Yeah.
LJN series, yeah.
There's so much stuff out there. I mean, and I think I've talked to you guys about this in the past. Like when I was a kid playing with the WWE action figures, from LJN to Hasbro's to Jakks Pacific. Once Jakks Pacific came out, that was like when I started to age out of playing with action figures. I believe I was like 12 or 13. I had a good run. But back then, they didn't make all these accessories like the championship belts. You got maybe one belt that came with the ring, and if you lost it, you were screwed. I think at one point I had to take the logo from my grandfather's Brute aftershave and cut it out and fashion a title belt out of that. But I mean, aside from collectors, if you're a kid who likes to play with action figures these days, I mean, the amount of options that you have. You guys have had like 8 new action figures come out of yourselves in the last, 2 years? I mean, it's insane.
Yeah.
What's put out there.
Yeah, the WWE just came out with ours too, which is phenomenal. I mean, it really looks good.
Yeah, I gave them a plug. I believe they're available at Walmart.
Yeah, but I really want to just say thank you to everybody. And those reviews on the book, incredible. It just, humbles you. You write a book and just want to tell a little bit about yourself, and everybody enjoyed it. And I just thank you to all the fans, and Bill and you, Ryan, too. Thank you.
Oh, well, it's my pleasure. We're going to wrap this one up, but we're going to be back on more of a schedule. You're going to see a lot of cool content in the coming weeks. And also what I'm going to ask the fans of this podcast to do is you're going to start to see over the next couple days and weeks some older clips from past episodes that we are actually going to edit down, because there's been so many great stories that both of these gentlemen have told, and we think that they need to be out there separate from the audio on Spotify and separate from the full stream here on YouTube. So if you start seeing some clips pop up in the next couple of days and weeks that are 5 to 10 minutes long, please, please, please like, comment, share them on social media. That's how the word gets out about this podcast. We're still getting comments. You know, someone will find episode 7 and be like, oh my God, Demolition, I love those guys. And then they go back and get to binge all of the previous episodes, which is cool. But without you guys, this doesn't continue to grow. So please keep continuing to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Axe, Smash, it's been great. I'll see you guys real soon.
Thank you.
Here comes the axe, and here comes the smasher.